quorum yet, but we will shortly. So we're going to get started with the more administrative type of entities before we have to take any votes. So item 1 on the agenda is roll call. Kendall, if you could lead us through that, please.
Yes, sir. We'll start with Brian Yonta.
Here.
Thank you, Brian. Dave Wegman.
Here.
Thank you. Derek Bays.
Here.
Thank you. Doris Cooksey. Debbie Reed.
Here.
Thank you. Nefi Garza. Kara Tackett. Jeff Carroll.
Here.
Thank you. John Beasley. Suzanne Scott. Present. Thank you. Dave Mock. Steve Klaus. Marty Kelly. James Blunt. James, I think I see you online, so I'm going to count you as present. Jamie McCool. Thank you. Jared Bowen. Chris Robles.
Here.
Thank you. Anita Machiavello.
Here.
Thank you. Chair, we do not have a quorum at this time.
Understood. Thank you, Kendall. Do we have any public comments at this time?
Nobody has signed up to speak.
All right. Since we do not have a quorum yet, we're going to move on to item number 4, communications from the Texas Water Development Board. So Anita, I see you on. If you could take it away, please.
Yes, hello everyone. I just have a few updates. The first being that we sent an email on October 19th requesting feedback and suggested changes to state and regional flood planning rules for the second planning cycle. We're asking for written feedback by tomorrow, November 18th, and appreciate anyone that has already provided that feedback. If anyone would like me to send that email to them again, please let me know. I also want to remind everyone to read the last newsletter that came out, as well as email blast about Task 12 reminder and guidance, and updates to the subcontract amendment that we sent back in August. Again, if you need that, please let me know. And that's all I have for right now.
All right. Thank you, Anita. Any questions or comments for Anita? All right. Still do not have a quorum, so we'll keep moving through other items. So we'll go to number 5, the chair report. So the final flood plan is due January 10th. We are on track in Region 12 to do that. We'll get an update on that today, and in December at our meeting will be the approval. So we're all set for submittal. The other item I'll do under the chair report is that Steve Klaus has given us notice of his resignation. He's given us a letter, so I'm going to just read that out. Dear Mr. Bays, I will retire from the San Antonio water system on December 31st, 2022. At that time, I will also resign my position as the water agency representative on the San Antonio Regional Flood Planning Group. My last planned meeting of the committee will be the upcoming December meeting. I have enjoyed my time with this committee and learned much. Thank you for this opportunity to serve. I wish the committee the best as our report is submitted and moves towards implementation for these many important flood management improvements. So I appreciate Steve giving us notice, and we'll see him at the December meeting. He's committed to that. And also Steve has indicated that he is going to nominate a replacement to fill his current position as the water utilities vacancy, and he would like to nominate Donovan Burton, who's the SAW's Vice President for Water Resources and Government Relations. So that's good that we have a potential candidate out there so that they can step right into Steve's roles, current position. And we'll hopefully, Kendall, refresh me. Did we say we were going to be able to pull that off in December, or is that going to be a January?
We can pull that off as long as we go into that third week of December.
Okay, so it depends on the timing of the board's availability.
Yes, we can touch on that when we get to scheduling the next meeting. I do want to note that we do have a quorum. Both Dave and Kara have arrived.
Okay, good deal.
So can I ask a question
Yeah,
about that?
of
then?
course.
Will we have to take action to put that one out? To solicit? And since that's not on this agenda,
Oh, we don't have to take action when it comes to putting out for a solicitation.
okay,
No, ma'am.
good. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We will have to go out, but y'all don't have to give.
We don't have
us-
to give you authorization.
Correct.
Right.
Okay, by action. Great. Because
All right. So now that we have a quorum, we're going to go back to item number 3, approval of the minutes from the previous Region 12 meeting. Can I get a motion for approval?
This is Dave. I've reviewed the minutes and moved to approve.
Second?
I'll second it. This is Suzanne.
Thanks, Suzanne. Any comments from the group? All right. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
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 All right. Thank you. We're going to go now to item number 6, which is discussion and appropriate action regarding filling the existing vacancies for the one vacancy for municipalities and the other vacancy for small business interest groups. So following the requirements, we advertised, we received 1 nomination for each of those positions. The executive committee chose not to meet because we only had 1 nominee per seat. So there was not a need to make a recommendation to the full board. So first item will be the small business interest group. So we have 1 nomination for the vacancy. And is Jose on? Good deal. The nomination is Mr. Jose Reyes. And Jose, if you could take a minute to introduce yourself and say a few words about your background and what you currently do.
Yeah, thank you all for considering me. My name is Jose Reyes. I am the vice president here at Maestas and Associates. I have over 16 years of experience doing water resources type projects, anything from master planning to any large scale studies down to small design projects. I have been involved, or really my whole career has been around the San Antonio area. And yeah, just happy to be here.
All right, thank you, Jose. So if I could get a motion to elect Jose Reyes to sit on the Region 12 Flood Planning Group and the Small Business Interest Group.
Dave Wegman, so moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it, Steve Monk.
All right, thanks, Steve. So all in favor of electing Jose Reyes to sit on the board for small interest, please say aye.
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 All right. All right, Jose, congratulations. You're signed up.
Thank you.
All right, next, we have 1 nomination for the existing vacancy for a municipality, and that is Roberto Reina, with the city of San Antonio. So, Robert, can you give us the same, a little background and what you do?
Sure. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, I can go by either Robert or Roberto, but Robert Reyna. So City of San Antonio Public Works Department. I've worked, have about 16 years of engineering experience. I did my first 6 years over with TxDOT, and now with the City of San Antonio, worked in the Streets Division, and currently the interim assistant director for Public Works over the Stormwater Division. So sort of taking over Nephew's spot for right now.
All right, thanks, Robert. So could I get a motion to elect?
Backgrounds.
I'm sorry?
Default background.
Oh. All right, could I get a motion to elect Robert to sit on the Region 12 Flood Planning Group for the vacancy in the municipalities interest group?
This is Debbie Reed, and I make a motion to accept
Thank you, Debbie.
Robert.
Is there a second?
Dave Wegman, second.
Thanks, Dave. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, Robert, you're stuck now too.
Thank you.
I do want to say thank you to both Jose and Robert for being willing to serve. We've got a pretty big task that we're coming towards the end of, but the work's not done, and so we appreciate y'all's willingness and perspective that you bring from your respective where you work now and your background. So thank you. And Kendall will contact both of y'all for information on Open Meetings Act and Public Information Act requirements and orientation after this, and coordinate with you for that. So the next item is a presentation on Task 12 progress. Our technical consultant spectacular team who really want to talk about how much praise they've gotten from the Water Development Board and put that on the record. So I would hate for that not to go, more formally stated. So please give us an update.
Wow, Derek, thanks for the wonderful introduction. We really appreciate that. And I too want to say congratulations to Robert and Jose. We've both worked with them for a long time. We both know, Derek, they won't have any problem kicking us as you'd kick us. So you'll have plenty of teaming opportunities there to kick us around a little bit.
That hurts. Really.
Yeah. So part of what, as when we rolled out Task 12 and we started talking about which projects we were going to, we kind of decided to put it as a standing agenda item to kind of give an update. So a little bit about, I don't have a whole lot of progress on this task. So we've continued coordination and contacting the cities, the counties, the sponsors of the 20 or so FMEs that we're going to move forward with, and we've been trying to gather more information and fill out everything that's needed for in the tables, and go forward on that. However, as you know, January is resubmittal month, and so our focus has been on tasks related to comments and updating that. And so as for Task 12, we've been making calls. Not a lot I can show you on the call log that we've been making, but we've continued to work with the cities and the counties on these projects, and we'll work on that. And again, that is a July submittal. So we have a little bit of time there, but it's just coordination right now. We've coordinated with the SARA. We've gotten a lot of models from the River Authority and talked with the city. So we're making progress. It's just the focus right now is making sure that we get everything completed so we can actually vote on something in December we can all maybe have a Merry Christmas, not be so hectic like last year. So that's my update on Task 12.
So the December, I just want to make sure I'm understanding because we've had so many dates on this. The December submittal, the one that we'll vote on next month, is the draft, but now with all the revisions, all the comments, all of that sort of cleaned up. Is that right?
No, it's the final plan.
But I mean, it's any comments that you've received, any response to the public comments, all of that would be tracked in that December document.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
And we'll see all of that, those responses, et cetera.
You've seen all of the Water Development Board comments. We're going to talk about in the next comments. We'll talk about comments in the next.
Okay, so including the public comments.
Yes, I have an update on those as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Do you want to talk the public comment?
So I guess going into agenda item 8, you have in front of you either, I don't know if you have it on the screen or how everybody out there has a PDF of the comments from Kendall. And those in the room have a hard copy. These are the comments that were received by the Water Development Board as the email that Derek and Anita mentioned. The level 1 comments, it was our comments that are required. Level 2 comments are comments that are recommended, and you'll see the level 2 level 1 comments, and then level 2 starts. I have to look at the number. I can't remember off the top of my head. Is it 3? Oh yeah. Comment 23. Comment 23 is the start of the level 2 comment. Excuse me. So we've provided responses, the initial responses to those. There are a couple of these comments. I think they're comments 18 and 19. Parts of those we have. I've sent additional clarification to Anita. She's working on that. And so I anticipate to hear back from her on that. They're pretty minor. We just want to make sure that we get it in the right format. A lot of this was, there's kind of 2 things that were on here. A lot of these were comments that we had agreed with, and we went right away with, and we just said agree, and we'll make those updates as requested. But there are a few comments that, and we talked to Anita about this. We think that there was, maybe they were looking at an old database, because when we looked at our submittal geodatabase, the comments we had already been addressed. So regardless, we see the comment, whether we make them, whether we respond, we will make them, or we've already, we've already made those comments. So nothing in here that nothing in here deal breakers to us, scares us. And quite frankly, a lot of these comments have already been addressed going forward. So as far as the Texas Water Development Board comments, they are in, I think we have a good handle on those. Is there, I guess I'll pause there for, are there any questions on that?
I guess
Yeah.
for you or maybe Anita. Oh, one sec, Debbie, just for you or Anita. Do we know when you're going to get clarification on those questions you raised to Anita? Just I'm thinking through our timeline and holidays and everything else. Do you know when we could anticipate that, so you make sure you have time to incorporate?
Anita's been very quick on getting those. I didn't get her those comments till this week after we'd had a conversation about them. So I'd anticipate those very quickly. She's been very good, but.
Okay.
Yeah, I will say I did start my review of them and my draft response back to them. Most of the team will be out next week, so I will try and get that to you guys the following week.
Okay. Thank you, Anita. Debbie, you had a comment or a question?
I just wanted to, Ron had mentioned on the number 19, and if he felt that there was going to be any issues in trying to capture some of that information on a no impact, because I know a lot of the projects had some insufficient modeling information, how that was going to work out.
All of our question on 19 was more, I think that is, I'm trying to see which one. That one was more on the water supply benefits. Right. 19
is the one on the no adverse impact.
Okay, no adverse impact on 18.
Yeah, that really more boiled down to there was actually a table reference that just was incorrect in the report, and so when the reviewers were looking at it, they were looking at a different table, and so the question's already really been addressed. We're just trying to get clarification on making sure we have the right narrative to describe that in the text of the report to make sure it answers the question.
But as far as no negative impacts, Debbie, we were either able to provide that, or if we weren't, then it's an FME and possibly could be on the list to move ahead. But the no negative impact, we either have it or it's not an FMP.
Correct.
But that could be changed by July.
If it was one that was on the selected list, yes, ma'am, that is correct.
Yeah, if you remember, that was one of our
thanks.
criteria in that big table when we went through all of the FMEs and FMPs and FMSs, is we had to confirm that there was no negative impact in order for it to move to the FMP category.
And so just for clarification for the planning group, those will still have to go into this plan as an FME. And the amendment will be what actually makes them an FMP. So just want to make that clear, that they're going to have to remain an FME, and we will make them the FMP with the amendment. So,
yeah.
Okay.
Did you ever, I know that we talked about this when we were going through the public process of, talking about the draft plan as far as quantifying based on the projects that you have that were submitted and that the various sponsors have put through, that sort of the cumulative benefit, how many structures could come out of the floodplain, how many, what kind of benefits? I mean, I know you're talking about there's no negative benefit, but did we ever kind of quantify in any way to say if this plan were to be implemented, what the benefits would be?
I think that's one of the things that's identified on a per project. We'd have to just add all those up to say if everything got built, this is what we approximately. So we could. That is a number we could pull out if we, because we have to quantify for each of the FMPs what is the anticipated impact.
Right.
And so that is a number we could pull. Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm just thinking, if there's any way to, as we get ready to do the final approval in December and sort of submit that as the final, plan for our region, if you and your team between now and then could think about what sort of benefits that our region could see from the plan, whether it's, improvements, getting structures out of the floodplain or having improved access to various, critical infrastructure or, whatever, whatever you would think would be an appropriate way of, or taking low water crossings out of the, safe transportation or any other mitigation. I just think any of those nuggets would be helpful as we try to explain to the community. I'm assuming that we'll put out some sort of release when we finalize this, in December, to say the regional flood planning group is submitting our final document, and this is what it kind of would do. I mean, this is the cost. This is, I don't know, anything that would quantify the work that we've been doing, because I think it's important as we move into the legislative session. And I realize that a lot of these plans aren't necessarily going to be able to get the full vetting in the legislative session because we still have this July, update, and there's still going to be some more work to be done before it's final, right? But I know that in the legislative session, there is some discussion about re-upping the flood infrastructure fund and trying to put more money out for that purpose. And it would be great just to be able to say why that would be important, to do that, given the need here, at least in our region. And I know that Reem and her staff is sort of quantifying it, the big picture, because I know she gave some initial numbers to that last time. And I'm sure they're going to have to be doing that for the statewide plan, but it would be good for us as our region to just have a understanding of those facts, the benefits of what we're doing.
Yeah, I really agree, Suzanne, especially as we go out and, talk to the delegation for the watershed and the region. I think, everybody likes those nuggets of information, as I think you said, that they can seize upon, being able to say, hey, look, this group came together from a diverse set of interests and geographic areas, and this is what we've put forward. I think that's an important message. And I know they're smarter people than I am from the PR perspective, but it may make more sense to do it after the new year, because I don't want it to get lost in the PR. I don't want to get lost in the Christmas and New Year shuffle, because I think it's a big deal.
Whenever, the team decides when it would be best to go, to move it forward, and you could put quotes in it from Derek as the chair, and, just something to quantify and celebrate the fact that we've got this first round done.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree. I can totally see how we can say, we've identified I think we've talked about the 1.5 billion in infrastructure that projects. Well, what does that do, right? People like to know what that does, and I think that's something we can provide.
Awesome, thank you. All right.
Awesome. Public comment. So we received a lot of public comments, received it in a lot of different ways. We received them email, we received them via the website, and then public comments at the meeting. There were a lot of diverse and very detailed Some of them were very detailed. We received comments from the Parks and Wildlife Department and others. And so as part of that, I mentioned to Kendall today, I'd like to bring that before we bring it to the entire group. I want to talk it through with the technical committee on which ones all we're going to. There's a lot, right? There's a lot of comments that say, hey, we'd like you to include this. That's not necessarily aligned with the plan. And I think we need to sort through that with the technical committee before we bring that recommendation to the entire group. Because there's quite a bit that we need to go through.
How many public comments? Rough.
Okay, let me look. I know there was that number. 14 off the comment map. 10 off the forums, and we have 5 emailed comments, and the 5 emailed comments were they were
lengthy.
They were documents. Yes, and they were all from an organization of some sort.
I mean, I think it does sound like something that the technical committee should meet to talk about, but I think it's important for the whole group here to get a sense before that. So if you could talk a little bit about what are you seeing that's potentially at odds with the plan?
Just in the depth in which we go into some of what they're asking for and some of the things and what we're including and how we're describing some of the things. I think one of the there was a lot of comments. The Parks and Wildlife came a lot, and there was another one. There were 2 comments from organizations that spent a lot of time on the nature-based solutions, and we've spent a lot of time talking about those and what we were going to include. And we don't want to dismiss them, and we want to kind of keep it in the structure of what we've talked about and gone out. So that's one of the big ones is how much detail or how much we're going to add there. I don't want to discount any of it, but some of them were quite lengthy in what the ask was. I think there was one that was one of them as well.
Well, and some of those, because I was familiar with a few of those submittals because the Nature Conservancy may have signed on to it. But I think the question, I know some of those could be incorporated in the policy chapter. In other words, if we don't have enough information to make all the modifications that were suggested, that some of those, I don't remember because I don't have them in front of me, but maybe some of it is obviously that there may need to be more thorough definitions or reviews for nature-based solutions. We knew that process was not as described in this first round, right? And we know that that's something that we need to continue to develop. And I know the Water Development Board is going to be developing a technical guidance manual as it relates to nature-based solutions, and maybe some of the comments and the things that have been received would be really good to vet into that technical guidance document, so that as we're getting ready for the next round of planning, we have a little bit more guidance and understanding about the valuation of nature-based solutions, how they can be better incorporated. Because I know in the technical guidance manual, they're there to provide some understanding of how to look at them, how to see what their benefits are, because everything, there's a lot of factors that you need to take into consideration. So I don't know. I can't remember all the documents. I do remember reading those, the input that was provided. I know GIA had a letter. I know National Wildlife Federation had a letter, and all sort of getting into the desire to really have more of a vetting of and encouragement of nature-based solutions as a alternative, people looking at nature-based solutions through their assessment, that giving it as much of a analysis as you would more traditional infrastructure. And some of that guidance may come through that document, that guidance manual. So I'm just saying maybe there's some ways that we can take that information, which is I think there's a lot of great comments there, and appropriately recognize it, but then say maybe it needs to be looked at through these other processes that are ongoing. I don't know. I'm just making a suggestion so that we
I
at
totally
least
agree.
we recognize them, but maybe put them in an appropriate place for recommendations for policy change or
even considerations for the next flood
for the
plan.
next for the next
I
plan.
totally agree.
For the
that some of those are
technical
going to go to,
guidance manual that's being developed by the Water Development Board, some of these comments, and I suspect some that from other regions need to be known by that consulting team that's putting together that guidance document to make sure that they're incorporated in that assessment. And obviously Anita is probably hearing that not only here but other regions, and that's good information for those consultants to look at.
and I think I would assume that some of these documents probably went to more than just Region 12, and so
that's I think a reasonable assumption.
Yeah, and so just need to plan to get that to y'all, all these documents, and kind of in a comment and response format here really soon, and then get something scheduled. That way we have plenty of time to make these comments, any adjustments that we need for those going forward. But yeah, that's the public comment. I'd like to sit with the technical committee and go through those and figure out.
But but what you send out will go out to the whole group, not just the technical committee, right?
Yeah, I have no problem sending it out to the entire group, and then we'll talk about it
and so that way, if Suzanne or other members that are not on the technical committee, but they still have an opportunity to weigh in.
Yeah, they're public comments, so we're going to provide them out there.
No, I know that, but I know we're also getting crunched for time, but I want to make sure we capture and we don't discount or leave behind, is really maybe a better way, some of the feedback that we've gotten, that we recognize it appropriately and it fits into the right part of the document.
These comments are part of our January 10th deliverable, and we will review and motion to approve them in December. So it'll actually be an agenda item for action.
And maybe if y'all, the consultants, could make a recommendation as to looking at them in total and seeing how they can be incorporated. Obviously, you don't have time to go back and do any assessment of projects under that filter. I mean, you just don't, that's not possible. I mean, maybe for the July 12th look, as you go back into some of the July 12th look, you could maybe see if there's opportunities to assess for nature-based solution. I mean, you have a little bit more time, but not for December. But you could still incorporate it in the policy section. Maybe there's a write-up that y'all could recommend to say, we've got a lot of comments related to nature-based solutions. It's something that's critically important that needs to be looked at. We need more guidance from the Water Development Board as to how to do this, and so that it's done, appropriately throughout using the same techniques and guidelines and everything for all regions, something like that. I mean, I don't know. I'm just making a suggestion.
No, I agree, because consistency is going to be important, and it'll make it easier for the Water Development Board to digest it and tackle it too. But I agree. So a recommendation, especially I think when you come to the technical committee with that, will be critical.
We'll definitely have that.
Okay.
So there may be a couple that we'll look into. There may be, for the most part, we will answer all of them unless we want to leave that open and get more input. But for the most part, we're going to come with recommendations on everything, and we have that. We have a lot of that done already. Just need to get in front of the committee.
Okay.
And that's all for my update.
All right. Are there any other comments or questions from the group for the technical consultant team on this or anything else? Okay. Then we are going to move on to item number 9, regional liaison update. Is Doris on? Dave and Doris are both on. Okay, so Doris, if you want to start for us, please. I think you're muted, Doris. Kendall. All right, Doris, we're not hearing you. I'm going to go to Dave while Kendall tries to work with you on seeing what's up. So Dave, if you could give us your liaison update, please.
Really, to be honest with you, I don't have much going on right now. They haven't had a meeting in a few weeks that I know of anyway. So last time I checked, they were at the same place we were, maybe a little bit ahead of us on some things, but there's really not much to talk about.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm sorry. Move on. Okay. Can you flip it back to the people, please? All right. So we're having a little technical difficulty with Doris. We're going to keep moving forward. So Kendall, is there public comments?
There are no public comments at this time.
All right. Thank you. So the last main item on the agenda is talk through date and potential agenda items for the next meeting. I know we're getting into the holidays. One thing I wanted to throw out there to the group is the possibility of a meeting on Monday, December 19th, which would allow us to fill the water utilities vacancy, Steve Klaus's current position. But I also know it's the holidays, and could we get a quorum or not? I'll remind folks that, you know, the only person that has to be in person for the meeting is myself. So if you're already traveling, but you would make yourself available remotely, that would count towards quorum purposes. So throwing out there the idea of Monday, December 19th for the December board meeting, which would be a fairly significant meeting because that's the final vote and approval for the plan to move forward.
But not significant in time.
But not significant in time, Kendall? I don't understand.
Not
Short
3 hours
meeting.
like the draft plan.
You think it's a short meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Could
I'll
we,
look to the short.
I mean, you're going to have seen the comment. Everyone will have seen the comments, and that's the only thing we can change, right? So not a lot to review other than the comment and responses. And I think that the majority of that's the majority of your review, right? To make sure that we incorporate any of the public comments, and that becomes our final plan. So that's what you've seen some of it today, right? You've seen some of what the Water Development Board's suggesting. We're saying we're going to make those changes, and then the public comment, and then so that's essentially all that we can change. Other than that's not minor. So I would think that would be a pretty quick conversation.
So possibly 2 p.m.
I'm available all week, so.
Kara's raising her hand.
Yeah, Kara.
yeah, I was going to say if we could do 2:30, then I'm available even in person, but 2:30 on, and hopefully if it's a short meeting, then we're done for the day.
So Monday the 19th at 2:30. I'm good. Kara's good. Dave, Suzanne is
Works for me.
nodding. So it sounds like that is going to work. If you, all right, we're good then. Technical committee. I'm going to look to Ron to say when are you going to be ready to talk through this with the technical committee?
Week of the 5th or 12th, what works for y'all?
12th.
One vote for the 12th, and that's the week of the, yeah, definitely not the 12th. Good Lord.
Need a little bit of time to maybe make sure we have enough time to incorporate it all, but so hopefully not the later part of the week, hopefully the earlier part of the week, if not the 12th, maybe.
What about Thursday the 8th?
That works.
In the afternoon.
I can't.
I just know that I'm just looking at the week of the 12th is really bad for me, at least.
I could.
The 7th?
Yeah, I can do anything on the 7th.
Okay.
I can
Does
make
that
the
work for
7th.
you, Ron?
I can make the
Okay.
7th work in the afternoon.
Afternoon works on the 7th for me.
I'm good.
Okay. Say 2 p.m.
Yes.
All right, there we go. Technical committee, 2 p.m. on the 7th. Thank you, everyone. So any last closing comments or remarks?
do you want, I don't know if it's appropriate or not, if either two of our two new members, if they would be interested in coming to the technical committee, given the fact that they're both technical people.
Yeah.
I don't know if is that something that we had directly appointed those people, or we just asked who? I can't remember how we did that back in the day.
I was gonna, I think the way I was looking at the committees was, well, first off, they're both certainly welcome to come to the meeting, but I wasn't going to recommend any changes until we got through the submittal of the draft report, and that would be sometime in January if we're going to make any shifts.
Yeah, to Suzanne's point, I think from an indoctrination standpoint, it may not be a bad idea if they just attended to listen in.
Yeah, I concur with that.
We still have to be careful about not having a quorum at the technical committee. Is that correct?
Yes, that was our issue early on. We had to be mindful on each committee.
I think as long as they don't turn their camera on and they call in virtually.
Nope.
Nope, that doesn't work.
Nope.
That's worked in other places. I know that.
With the two joined, 8 will be a quorum, so I can fit those 2 in, but I can't have 3.
Yeah.
Well, I think the technical committee, I guess maybe one thing that you could do, just ask Steve if he's going to be. Steve's a part of the technical committee. He may say, "Hey, I'm stepping down already," or he may want to be a part of that meeting. So
I think we can work that, and Kendall will communicate.
We can take this conversation offline.
Thank you. All right. So we got that nailed down. Anything else for the group? Thank you, everyone. Could I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Again, we got a Kara and Dave for second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, everyone. Have a great and safe Thanksgiving.
Same to you guys.